Hey y'all, this is Tristian Circa 89, where I obsess over pop culture so you don't have to. Alright, y'all, so I know I've been gone for a while, but I am back and hopefully better than ever. I've watched a bunch of movies and I'm really excited to come back and talk about them on this channel. So the one I'm going to review today is Alice, which stars Keke Palmer, Common, and also stars Jonny Lee Miller. So Alice is about a woman who grows up on a 19th century plantation. She's a slave. She's grown up around slaves. Her family all died enslaved. And after the death of her husband, she decides to make her own bid for freedom and discovers that it is actually 1973. So basically, if you take the movies Antebellum and The Village, mix in some black exploitation, you would get Alice. And Keke Palmer again stars as the titular character, Alice. So Common is a truck driver who almost runs her over and kind of takes her in, kind of helps her navigate the world of the 1970s. He's sort of the interesting thing is that his story arc, he doesn't have much of one, but he's kind of enslaved to his older brother. Like his older brother kind of runs his life. And as he encounters the newly emancipated Alice, she kind of helps him gain the courage to emancipate himself from his brother. But again, Common is helping her navigate 1973. She's learning the world. She's learning about cars and television and phone books and all that stuff. But basically, this is all a setup for it's a setting her up to get ready to go back to that plantation and free her fellow slaves. So I reviewed this on the website Geek Vibes Nation. I'm a contributor to that website, and I called it a jarring revenge thriller. Because it is very jarring to have the character go from a 19th century plantation to discovering that it is 1973. Alice, she navigates 1973 well enough. I almost wish that the movie had taken more time to explore her life in 1973. One thing I wrote in my Geek Vibes Nation review is that I even would have appreciated maybe the movie showing a couple of months of her just trying to like adjust to the real world, in the sense that, or not the real world, but again to the adjust to the modern world by like maybe trying to get a job, trying to make friends, things like that. Really show her trying to navigate that world, and she's haunted by the fact that there are still people enslaved on that plantation, and that leads her deciding, before I can move forward, I have to go back and free my people. So I would have appreciated the film actually slowing it down a little bit, and exploring that, really exploring her trying to adjust to life in 1973. One thing though I will say is that Keke Palmer does an amazing, amazing job in this role. I mean, she completely shines. She starts out portraying Alice as sort of meek and shy. You can kind of sense this inner fire and this inner rebellion, but it isn't until her husband is killed that she realizes, you know what, there has to be something out there better than this. And that leads to her escaping the plantation, discovering that it's actually 1973, and it is through Common's help, his character Frank's help, and just reading. She also starts reading because she has a passion for reading. As she gains more knowledge, learns more about the real world, she even confronts her slave master's wife, who in a wild scene, the slave master's wife shows up to a diner and she's dressed in contemporary clothes. She brings her little boy along. He's dressed in contemporary clothes. Now, mind you, earlier in the movie, we saw them and they were dressed as if they lived in the 19th century. So this was just all one big like game to them, which is why I kind of compare it to Antebellum. If you've seen that movie, it's kind of the ultimate revelation is that this character has been trapped amongst these people who reenact like the Civil War and things like that. So that's kind of what was happening here. Like these people, when they were around the slaves, they were acting as if it was the 19th century and things like that. But then when they weren't around the slaves, they were dressing in contemporary clothes. They were living contemporary lives, contemporary 1973 lives. So that is just wild to me. And it was just, Alice is understandably upset. The lady kind of tries to play it off, and Alice just will not let her get off the hook. Like she's like, no, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. I'm going to free my people. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for your husband. Y'all are going to pay for this. So like that scene was crazy to me. But Keke Palmer shines. Again, she goes from like this shy, meek Alice to like this fierce avenger of sorts. Like she wants to free her people and she's gonna do it no matter what. And she lets the slave master's wife know, again, I'm coming for y'all. I'm going to expose y'all. So Keke Palmer absolutely shines. Common does a decent enough job as Frank. As I mentioned earlier, his sort of minor arc is kind of emancipating himself from his older brother. And again, it's through his relationship with Alice that he does that. You can tell he really cares for her. I don't remember the movie really trying to sell us on like a romance between Alice and Frank. I didn't sense that. I can't even say I sensed like a brother and sister type thing. You can just tell he was a kind guy who really wanted to help her. I like Keke Palmer and Common on screen together. I just don't know if I would ever believe a romance between those two, at least not in this context. I really, again, I don't remember the movie really trying to sell us on like they're gonna fall in love, and again, maybe had the movie been longer, they really would have set that up more because I felt like this movie really moved almost a little too fast to the point, like I was saying earlier, I think it could have benefited from another 30 minutes of showing us a little more of her trying to adjust to the modern world of 1973, showing a little more of like the interactions between her and Common's character Frank. I rarely say that a movie should be longer, because I know one of my biggest complaints about the recent Batman movie was that it was too long. I feel like they could have shaved 30 minutes off of there. But I feel like this is a movie that could have benefited from having more time. So here's my final verdict on Alice. Is it worth watching? Yes. Might you enjoy it? Yes. Will you be left with the feeling that, wow, that didn't quite live up to its full potential? Yes. I think you're definitely going to be left with the sense that this story could have been expanded more, could have touched on more points. Yeah, I would say it's disappointing in that regard. You really will be left with a feeling of, oh wow, that's it. Okay, I guess it's over. I would still check it out. Again, stars Keke Palmer, Common, and Jonny Lee Miller. I didn't mention this earlier. Jonny Lee Miller plays the slave owner. He does a pretty good job in that role. But yeah, I would definitely check out Alice. I think it's worth watching. So until next time, I am Tristian Circa 89, and I obsess over pop culture so you don't have to. Bye.